here. Because I'm gonna let you know, if you're in the water, you're gonna die. Illuminati dies here today, Mom.
It's a shark in the zoo. They say in Babylon, put the mark on them too. His whole body light so we can maul other guys. If my all-seeing eye going dark on me too. And them coffers for you. I'm ready so the devil who I call out first. I heard God call, he said behind the great wall. He I made a sword off to kick them all off earth. So my click don't play. Heaven gotta choose the wolf or the lamb. Get shot down by a pig in the street. Why do niggas gotta beef when it's a whole lot of hell? Alright, it's a hole in the dam. They can't flood Merc, so they shoot down gangs. Merc fly high, baby, Merc won't die. I don't see nobody here that can shoot down planes. It's like I shoot down veins. You're turning everybody in the hood to an addict. You look 6th grade to a bully with a habit. Cause I'm a switchblade or a fully automatic. Let's go. It's only 2 ways out. Don't ever try to sit or think I'm running cause you can't. It's only screaming die while you running out of tank. It's screaming try bitch while you running out the bank. Cause my click don't pay. I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. My hoe act right like she came with an Emmy. She want black pipe cause she came with the Remy. Ain't no pain even in me. You probably wouldn't know the way I blow back cause it's 5 knockouts when it's 5 cops out. Or it's 5 shots out from the big bad wolf. Better bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave, but I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Better bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave, but I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Better bitch gon' say this is the only way I know to handle this. A whole lot of guns and a whole lot of cannons.
What's going on? Screw 2. Shots out and shots against and shots at Screw 2. But shots out to you carbon babies. This is your melanated warrior, Hey Ruhanus. And this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts. Because the facts are the only things that matter. So I see I'm going to look at this chat a little bit. I see this delay. There's the delay. So hold on, let me close this out right quick. Close this out and reopen it. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Yeah, it's probably gonna still be a delay, so it just is what it is. But I'm gonna get started. One of the things that I obviously wanted to talk about before I get started too is just kind of go over a little bit of what we recapped on, and I think that's extremely important because it's not necessarily about individuals waiting on individuals or something like that, or to get it. We just have to realize that what we have to do is clarify for them what's really important. So in the previous video, we took a look at the UN Security Council. Hold on 1 second. Let me close this out. We took a look at the UN Security Council, and we talked about the 5 countries that were a part of the UN Security Council. That was China, France, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia. Once again, that was China, France, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia. Just to recap, we talked about the United Security Council measures that they had taken through Resolution 242 and obviously 338. This was important because what we looked at, we saw that they were key players in the game, right? The United States and Russia were key players in the game. And remember, we talked about the idea that how can you have someone to, maintaining peace when they're at war with one another, right? We showed you in 1973 during that war, the Yom Kippur War, how they were funding both sides. Almost coming to a nuclear war, right? Because they weren't getting along with each other. Now, the question is, we're asking people logically, like if they were intended, or if they had any intentions of breaking it up, or if they had any intentions of making sure that war that they wouldn't go to war, then obviously what you would see is them not giving them weapons. You would see them not almost coming to war themselves. And we're talking about these superpowers and stuff. So that shows you who was really at war. That's the point. We also made a point in terms of building a conceptual framework to let you know that what we're dealing with too as well is the understanding that whatever they create is a weapon. They're going to weaponize it. We've seen that when, you know, they came across technology that transformed, you know, science as we know it in the 20th, you know, the 20th century and the 21st. Obviously, it's the you know, she's become the bedrock. And we're talking about Henrietta Lacks. In the 50s and the 60s, they had this technology, came across it, talked about how they were gonna, you know, make efforts to live forever, and even Nixon had a war on cancer. Okay, all right, so they act like they were finna do a whole lot. Act like they were finna, and what happened? You know, we have cancer rates that's skyrocketed, right? We have children that have cancer now, which when at one point in time it was unheard of. So we know that they do not intend to use these things in the best way possible. All right. Take a look at this chat for a second. What's up? Say, got Angela Frazier in here. We got. Forgive me if I'm talking in and out of the mic too. Going in and out. I'm trying to master all these things, y'all. Y'all just gotta give me a second. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got Lawrence. We got Della B. What's up? Della B's in here. Albert 432. Let me know if you wanted to be a moderator too. You know, so you know. I think we may have Amwaba in here, but she may have not, because she's in the UK. So, you know, Fishbone's in here. You know, we got some people in here. We about to get it cracking, but we about to go off into something very, very profound. This is about to be, this is about to be mind-blowing information. And I love being able to get this information because I want you to be able to think about it in a different way. That's what's it. You know, matter of fact, can I get any ones in the chat? You guys can hear me all right. I'm gonna wait because I'm getting a delay, so I can't, you know. But give me ones in the chat if you guys can hear me all right. This damn delay is so shit. It's crazy. All right, now I'm finally getting it. All right, that's what's up. Yeah, it's just, that's how long I had to wait. That's how long the delay is. Screw tube. Shit is just ridiculous. Can't even really watch the chat like I want to. You know. But okay, let's get into it because we definitely, we got a monster today. We got a monster. Let me get, I'm working out all the kinks and shit. You know, I was ripping and running, doing some things, and let me get my, you know, my mind together because we definitely have a ton of information. From this segment, what we're going to do is we're going to encourage you. We're going to inspire you. We're going to get you to look at water and sugar in a completely different way, in a completely different light. This is profound because remember in the book, I would say this all the time. Just because they name something does not mean they know what it is. Just because they can name something, they do not. That does not mean that they know what it is. And matter of fact, what you do, that insult to injury, is that you marginalize the concept even further by people oversimplifying it. You know, in the court of public opinion, most people associate water with just something that's everywhere. I drink water every day. It just is what it is. You know, I do my best to do this, that, and the other. Sugar, oh yeah, you know, I try to limit my sugar outtake and my sugar intake, etc. You know, try to stay healthy and all. You're about to see how deep this is about to go. This has been finna be phenomenal. I mean, this is like we said, we're redoing some of the segments. We did this before earlier and was, you know, it was entitled "It's in the Water." But I'm gonna show you how we're about to expound on these things and how we're about to have one hell of a damn live. This is about to be, I'm telling y'all, you know, they're missing out. But we're gonna continue to keep building this channel, and trust me, it's only gonna continue to keep getting better from here. So let's get into it because, you know, one thing that I want to do, especially in laying this groundwork, I want you guys to understand how mysterious, how unique, how profound this entity is. You really have to see, in order for us to transform, in order for us to truly understand that the bridge from the natural to the supernatural is the natural matrix. But we first have to humble ourselves and realize we know nothing about our surrounding environment. We know nothing about this grand elixir. We know nothing about it. So let's get into, let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. We're about to bring up, we got a few articles that we're about to bring up, you guys. So, you know, bear with me and stuff, but I mean, it's necessary. It is definitely necessary. Okay, this one was The Weirdness of Water. I believe this was written by Rachel Brazil, 6th of April in 2020. Let's see if we can pull this up. Alright. So I'm going to share my screen, you guys. And we about to get into it. As you can see, this is Chemistry World. Alright, Chemistry World. The Weirdness of Water by Rachel Brazil, 6th of April, 2020. The Weirdness of Water. We're just going to read a few of these things. Just like I said, we're going to go through some of these articles. We're just going to take out the most important points here. All right. It says, can we explain the strange properties of water by thinking of it as two different liquids? Rachel Brazil dives into the ongoing debate. All right. Scroll down here. Okay, it talks about how, hold on one second. I think I went down a little too far. Okay. Now check this out. I want you guys to understand this. This is huge. This is huge. Check this out. Water, the most commonplace of liquids, is also the strangest. It has at least, now think about this, brothers and sisters. It has at least 66 properties that differ from most liquids. High surface tension, high heat capacity, high melting and boiling points, and low compressibility. One school of thought is that water is not a complicated liquid, but two simple liquids with a complicated relationship. For some, this statement contradicts the basic principles of physical chemistry. For others, it explains just why water behaves in such an anomalous way. Now, this is deep. Now, first of all, I remember y'all have to, if you grew up around those who did, those of you guys who did grew up in the 80s, was an 80s baby, just like myself. You grew up in, you said, especially when Gatorade and all these other fruit juices would come out, or electrolyte drinks and stuff will come out. They would advertise it as being better than water. Hydrates your body better than water. And see right here, this is why, like I said before, this is what's so dangerous about their science, is that they can do whatever that they want to do. And this becomes the world view of people when it comes to water, like it could be replaced. Nothing could be further from the truth. As it stated, it has at least 66 properties that differ from most liquids. 66 properties that differ from most liquids. You cannot replace water at all. At all, brothers and sisters. That's what we have to understand. So really, if you delve into this article, really what this, what she does is she interviews these scientists who are going back and forth, and they're talking about the anomalies in water. Obviously how we're not going to be able to delve deep off into water and what it really actually is until we start thinking outside the box, right? And so, this guy who's a scientist, who's mentioned in that article, he talks about how, it doesn't make sense the way he's explaining it to his colleagues, but water does not make sense. You have to understand that at the molecular weight, here it is, brothers and sisters, at the molecular weight that water is at, it's not even supposed to be a liquid. There are gases heavier than water that are still gases. Okay, that's just how phenomenal this water is. All right. So when we remember, we already got to set some groundwork. We have to dispel some myths, because a lot of people walk around here thinking that they understand things about water, but this is called the illusion of intelligence. So understand this, knowing that water, just because they got the recipe to it, H2O, they can't make it. It's, even though it's you see it as a liquid, it's an anomaly, because at its molecular weight, it should still be a gas. They call it the weirdness of water, like it's a great mystery. Right? So if you are 70% water, but remember, you're only as much water as you drink. But let's just say, just for the sake of argument, you're 70% water because you drink a lot of water. You drink a lot of pure water, right? So your body's 70% water. 70% of you is identified as a mysterious substance that science cannot explain. 70% of you is identified as a mysterious substance that science cannot explain. See, this is one thing that you're going to realize. You're going to realize that it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be hard to change your outlook once you understand that things that you interact with are majestical. When you rename it, because this is all spell work, and we're about to get deep off into that. This is all spell work by them. This is why I say that this is extremely important. So when people come to me and they say, "Oh man, it seems like you a little bit too on them, and you seem you're paying too much attention," it's because the science is what's deadly. We need to stop thinking of racism in terms of individuals who interact with each other in a hostile way, but instead look at racism as a system that is propagated through the science by scientific bodies. That's what we have to think about. This is why it's so deep. All right, we're about to go to another article. I'm about to share another article with you guys. Okay, just to bring my point home. Just to bring my point home. Just to bring my point home. Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen with you guys, and we're about to get into this. All right, hold on. Make sure that it's okay. All right, if you guys can see this. This is a Newsweek article. Newsweek magazine article rather. Water is the most mysterious substance on Earth, and scientists have a new explanation. So they say. Water is the most mysterious substance on Earth, and science has a new explanation. This is by Jessica Wapner on the 5/16/2018. Okay. Now check this out. This is what's deep. It says, despite our utter dependence on it, water is a mystery. Scientists don't understand why it expands as it cools, why hot water turns to ice faster than cold water, or its extraordinary surface tension, which allows it to cling to soil and support insects. It's almost like water is trying to hide its secrets, said John Russo, a mathematician at the University of Bristol in England who thinks he may have figured one out. It says, let's go down just a little bit because we're going to read the key points. This is what he says. He says that the conclusion was surprising as their subject. You should really think of water as two separate liquids mixed together, says Russo. The difference between them, the hydrogen bonds holding the molecules together. In one, four are arranged in an organized symmetrical tetrahedron, a pyramid with four faces. In the other, the pyramids are disordered and interconnected. Water, it seems, is equal parts order and chaos, a poetic result for Earth's most valuable resources. Now this is deep, brothers and sisters. The shape of water in chemistry, you understand, you learn something about is the geometric shapes that they make, right? That these molecules make. So water, the molecular structure makes a tetrahedron, a four-sided pyramid. You see what I'm saying? So then when you go back and you think about your brothers and sisters over in Egypt, you understand and you recognize why they made these pyramids or put these pyramids next to the Nile. You see what I'm saying? And also, side note, did you know that the Nile was originally named Kemet meaning dark? The Nile used to actually, when it would flood over and deposit, all those nutrients, it would be jet black. It would be jet black. A lot of people don't know that Kemet was the name used first for the Nile before it was used for the land. Again, Kemet was used first for the Nile before it was used for the land. All right. Oh man, we about to go, man. Listen, this is about to get deep. We're about to get deep. You see, what you have to understand, what we're doing is showing you that the natural matrix is the bridge from the natural to the supernatural. But right now, what you have, and because we made this Blanco God, the natural, the supernatural, the bridge that we see for the supernatural seems to be AI or artificial technology. But then think to yourself and be logical about this. How can artificial technology be greater than natural intelligence? If it's artificial, it's basically a reverse engineering of nature. Okay? How can artificial intelligence be greater than natural technology? The answer is that it can't. And so we're showing you that don't get too caught up in what you see artificially, because they want you to. They want you to disarm yourself. They want you to think that is the bridge from the natural to the supernatural, when in reality, the bridge from the natural to the supernatural is the natural matrix. Okay? So, first of all, just to kind of hit on or to bring out what I was saying, let's go. I mean, because I want to get a lot of these articles out the way to talk about it though, because like I said before, we want to show you the articles so that way when you're researching these things, you can just pull these articles up, right, and show people, because I got this, I got it all locked in the brain. But the problem is that people just don't like, and then that's not true, that's not true journalism, right? That's not true scholarship if we just sit back and hide our sources. So, like we said, when we, light is so everybody can see, not just the ones who, call themselves or claim themselves to be leader or present themselves in the leadership role. So, let's go to this just so that you understand, just so that you know exactly what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters, because you have to know that this is actual science. A lot of times when brothers and sisters talk, especially those who are, have the responsibility of uplifting and raising the consciousness of the community, a lot of people just say, okay, one, where's your sources? And two, he's just talking. I need a little bit more than that. So, of course, we always have the receipts too as well. We're not going to do that because we know how people are. Any excuse to stay in that old mindset, right? But we're here to tear down that conventional framework. So let me show you. Let me give you another source. Let me give you another source. Hold on. Let me give you another source. Be patient, brothers and sisters. Here we go. I think this is it right here. Okay. Just so that you know, just so that you get an understanding that this is sound science that we're talking about here. So when we go into all of these things, people know, oh, that's pseudo stuff, that's that carbon cult, that's this, that, and the other. No, we ain't got time for all of that. So I'm finna share my screen, brothers and sisters, and we're about to get into it. All right. Where did it just go? Okay. All right, so you see molecular geometry is the three-dimensional shape that a molecule occupies in space. All right, so that's from LibreText Chemistry, molecular geometry. All right, that's about the three-dimensional shapes that obviously that molecules occupy in space. All right, and when you're in chemistry or you're taking chemistry class, a lot of that you get taught about stereoisomerism and all of that different stuff, which is the shapes that they have within space and stuff, especially in relation to other molecules and stuff. But we're not going to go that deep. We're just letting you know what we're talking about. We're talking about molecular geometry. We're talking about these, the shape that water takes on is a pyramid. The shape that water takes on is a pyramid. This is profound. You see, so that's letting you know that the ancients knew about this, right? It's just not by chance that they had these pyramids by bodies of water. Just not by chance that they had these pyramids by bodies of water. Okay, they totally understood the shape that water would take on as a pyramid. Remember, pyramid means pyra, fire, middle, fire in the middle. We know that water, like one of its 66 unique properties, one of it is to be able to hold and retain heat or electricity or radiation. We know that it's a million names for these things, but remember, like the great Dr. Ray Hagan said, he said that they would tell different things to different people about the same thing. All right, the compartmentalization of information parading around as a holistic worldview is the problem with us, because we have been individuals who have been subjected to the K through 12 mindfuck. So it's totally understandable. But this is the primary reason why you have things like the FOF squad or platforms like the FOF squad, so we can undo the mindfuck, because we about to get into it. Remember, the first one to the mind is the winner. The first one to the mind is the winner. Okay, so now that you know that water is this mysterious substance, now that you know they got the recipe for it and they can't duplicate it, this is one of the reasons why I'm a big advocate about making sure that you get filters. Making sure that you get filters, making sure that you do your best. Spend your last on this, because this is, like we said, this is nothing, truth is stranger than fiction, don't get me wrong. But this is nothing complicated. When people continue to keep talking about all of the routes that you have to take in order to get to the supernatural, one thing you have to understand is that, you cannot underestimate water by any regards. The reason being is because they don't know. They know what it is. They don't want you to know what it is. But conventional framework that we find ourselves subjected to, or the mental framework, tells us that It's just water. It's simple stuff. I drink it every day. I get bottled water. No, you're not getting pure water. You're not getting the water that's going to act in your cells, the intracellular, extracellular, intracellular levels of cellular hydration. All of these levels need to be catered to. And when it's not, and when that's not the case, the body then employs a system which restricts water, rations it out. Okay? And then we're about to talk about the things that happen after the fact. But let's go and revisit a very powerful documentary that we took a look at, which was called The Great Culling. Let's go revisit a powerful documentary which we looked at in one of the, obviously the older video, which was the original. It's in the water. All right, because we just want to recap, and we want to reacquaint ourselves with just how important chemistry is, and understanding these things. Now remember, I always say this is not the end all be all, but it does give us a glimpse into the supernatural, and it does give us the confidence that these things can be attained, especially if we are fundamentally sound. And one of the fundamentals, or one of the most important building blocks, is the water and the sugar. And we're about to take a deep look into this. And we're about to leap off the deep end. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, we're about to leap off the deep end with some deep. I mean, this is going to be well worth your time. So hang on with me, right? We're just laying the groundwork. We're talking about water right now. We're talking about the phenomenal shape and this tetrahedron shape that it makes. It makes the shape of pyramids. Okay, this is important stuff. Hang with me. You're going to see why this is extremely important. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go, hold on. All right. You know what was going on. Yeah, I had all this stuff saved, man. They just hating. They just hating is what they're doing. All right. Now, we're going to start it off at the 41 minute mark. 41 minutes and 50 seconds. All right, is where we're going to start this off at. Okay. Share my screen.
Enzymes activity increases arthritis and is a system poison. These are all validated by scientific data.
We have in America today all of the symptoms of hypothyroidism: obesity, heart disease, neurological impairment.
I have been very sick. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism about 10 years ago. There was no family history in my background that explained why I had this thyroid illness.
What were some of your side effects?
Feeling very cold, hair loss, concentration issues. It really controls your metabolism. So I had gained about 10 to 15 pounds, which is very unusual. I was very athletic my whole life and never was overweight. So I gained weight. I was sleeping a lot. Again, your metabolism is tuned down. Doing the research, fluoride is an irritant to your thyroid. Your thyroid wants iodine. And if it doesn't get iodine at the concentrations that it needs, then it gets whatever is closest that you're providing in the environment. If you look at the periodic table, you see that fluoride, chlorine, bromine, and iodine are all in the same column. That means they have very similar electronic structure and reactivity. So that's why your thyroid will uptake fluoride and chlorine when you're not giving it enough iodine.
So pause. So what we see, remember, we went over those things. We went over that when we told you. We said those vertical columns in the periodic table of elements, those vertical columns are families. They're molecularly similar to one another. But remember, I made a slight correction in her assessment, which was what? She said that they, were also similar in electronegativity or electric power, if you will, in layman's terms. But that's not true, because any chemist will tell you as you go up the periodic table of elements. As you go up the periodic table of elements, you increase in power what's called electronegativity. So what you begin to realize is CHO, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That's what we're going to isolate. Because it's so funny. You're going to realize that you were more of a chemist than you thought. You knew a lot more chemistry than you thought. But because remember, I told you that the biggest weapon that Blancos yield in terms of the manganese that they spit is in compartmentalization of information. When they chop information up, create all of these disciplines and sub-disciplines, etc., what happens is that it creates this rabbit's hole. And people get confused. We're going to show you an example of that, of how that exists within their framework, and how it continues to contribute to people. It just ended up being confused and just throwing their hands up and saying, you know what, I just don't have time. I can't do it. It's too complicated. I might as well just live my life out the best way I can and leave it alone. We throw our hands up. Okay? But we're going to show you without a shadow of a doubt, what you can do, and that you can be successful when you understand, or when you have a fundamental approach to all of these things, and like we said, being adept at the fundamentals. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to keep looking at this documentary for a second. We got a couple more clips to play, but remind yourself what she was talking about. That's, iodine is in the same family as chlorine and fluorine. They know this. Iodine is in the same family as chlorine and fluorine, and because chlorine and fluorine are more powerful, they can push iodine out the way. We use chlorine all the time, and then think about this too as well. We'll bond with it even if it's in the air. Our body will bond with things. Okay, lead that's in the paint and the walls and stuff. You have to start looking at yourself in a different light. That you not only, if you don't have things in your diet, which a lot of us can't because the food is highly processed, then your body's going to try to draw it from the environment in order to, get back to balance. That's one thing that you have to understand. So she realized that. Mind you, she was a doctor, had to go revisit the periodic table of elements or chemistry just to get an idea of what was going on with her. She realized that her low iodine levels had a lot to do with her always being in the presence of fluoride, right? And so she becomes adamant about, everybody in terms of what investment you should make in terms of your body taking in water, whether you're drinking it or whether you're showering in it, using it, whatever. You see what I'm saying? You have to understand how powerful that is. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the 53-minute mark too as well. Give me 1 second. Share my screen.
Fluoride has been a slow process of introduction into the dental profession, where it's commonplace for us to consider fluoride as the thing to do to help decay. Well, we now know, statistics have shown us that fluoride is not working, but it's very toxic to you and can cause everything from cancer to depression. So, yeah, it's a serious issue.
Fluoride is obviously not for everyone.
We've now found out that fluoride can harm babies. And we also know that it's been admitted that there are other groups that can be harmed by fluoride.
The Center of Disease Control in the 2005 report indicates that Black Americans and Mexican Americans had a higher rate of dental fluorosis than white children.
There is a gene that African Americans have too, and so their intestine is grabbing the lead with both hands, and then the Hispanic kids just have one, so they're just grabbing the lead with one hand. The Caucasian kids don't have either one. So the lowest level of lead's actually in the Caucasian kids, and then Hispanics up 400%, and the African American.
Okay, somebody said the volume was too low. I'm gonna turn that. Okay, let me replay just a little bit of that then, because you guys got to hear this. All right, I turned it up just a little bit. Let me know if that's okay. I'm gonna wait for a second because
there's
this
a
delay.
Gene that African Americans have too, and so their intestine is grabbing the lead with both hands, and then the Hispanic kids just have one, so they're just grabbing the lead with one hand. The Caucasian kids don't.
So is that volume pretty good right there? Because I want you guys to hear that. You can't miss out on this. Okay, all right, so that volume was okay. So we just gonna go back just a little bit once again. Sorry about this, you guys. Yeah, but it's really loud on my end. So I mean, obviously, if it's the speaker system is a distance from the mic, that obviously the volume needs to be up just a little bit more. So thanks for that. All right, we rocking. Okay, here we go. Let's go again.
So their intestine is grabbing the lead with both hands, and
It has been a slow process of introduction into the dental profession where it's commonplace for us to consider fluoride as the thing to do to help decay. Well, we now know, statistics have shown us, that fluoride is not working, but it's very toxic to you and can cause everything from cancer to depression. So, yeah, it's a serious issue.
Fluoride is obviously not for everyone.
We've now found out that fluoride can harm babies. And we also know that it's been admitted that there are other groups that can be harmed by fluoride.
The Center of Disease Control in the 2005 report indicates that Black Americans and Mexican Americans had a higher rate of dental fluorosis than white children.
there is a gene that African Americans have too. And so their intestine is grabbing the lead with both hands, and then the Hispanic kids just have one, so they're just grabbing the lead with one hand. The Caucasian kids don't have either one. So the lowest level of lead is actually in the Caucasian kids, and then Hispanics up 400%, and the African Americans 600% when you put silicon fluoride in the water, and that's because they have a genetic predisposition.
Everybody's dose is different. That's what's critical here. Your dose, my dose, and African Americans' dose, Hispanic, we all have genetic differences. And that process window may be this big, but you know what? They've decided that everybody gets the same, and that's where the problems happen. There's no single dose that is good for everybody.
Which makes water fluoridation with hydrofluorosilicic acid a crime against humanity. And it's time for them to stop. What it does, it causes minorities, especially lactose intolerant minorities, to suck up lead like a sponge and end up with learning disorders and be imprisoned for violent crimes. That's
And also remember what he said, lactose intolerant. That's going to be important. You just don't remember what I told you guys. Don't just let them talk. Always pay attention to exactly what they're talking about. But we're here to help to, ensure that we get this sort of breakdown, right? But remember, he said being lactose intolerant too as well. And remember what was talked about. This is very important. The genetic predisposition. They know that because of our carbon, we will bond with things in the environment at a greater capacity and level than our counterparts. This is extremely important. So we know since they know this, and they put this in the water, and they put this in our food, and they put this in everything else that we consume, then you must know that these are nothing more than acts of war. So like we said before, racism needs to be taken out of this idea where it's boiled down to, individuals who just have disagreements with one another, names being called, or somebody treated you wrong at a restaurant. No, we're talking about a system that is in place that has been backed by a fraudulent science, because that science in and of itself is merely just being used as a weapon for those who are in a pursuit for world domination. That's what you need to know. So we're going to show you how they weaponize water. We're going to show you how, we're already showing you how they weaponize water, right? And we're showing you that even though you think that the water is clear, what happens is this fluoride begins to make these bonds. And so when you don't have pure water, or water that's in a state where it can go in your body and do its job, ultimately what's going to happen is that you're going to continue to keep putting the body in a position where the environment is completely acidic, and the body will be dehydrated. Water everywhere you see, but none to drink. Water everywhere you see, but none to drink. The basis of the body, like it was told, you solve 70% of your problems when you understand that you are 70% water. You solve 70% of your problems when you understand that you are 70% water, and that nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, can substitute what water does. Absolutely nothing. Okay? Christian Paul said, is the fluoride in our shower? Of course. It's in your shower. Everything coming out of there, of course, it's in your shower. Coming out of your shower. That's why it's important to get a good filter system that I get, that you can, I don't know if you guys have a Menards where you're at, but or Lowe's or wherever hardware store, they got Sprite, Sprite, spelled just like the soda. Sprite water said, you know, their products are third party tested. It's the best, you know, in my opinion. The filters are relatively cheap and easy to replace. And so yeah, and the different type of jet streams that it has, it's well worth the investment. Well worth the investment. This is the investment that we have to make in ourselves, brothers and sisters. It is absolutely crucial because water does a lot of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the 1 hour and 24 minute mark of this. This will be the last clip that I show of this because we got a lot of information to cover. And I don't want to rush. I'm so excited to get this information out here, but we're just getting started, brothers and sisters. So hang with me. A lot of technical information we got to go over, but some of this you're already familiar with. But like we said before, we're just trying to catch people up to speed. So let's get at it. I'm finna share my screen. Let's go.
Be bolder, and to show them that we cannot be afraid.
It's time that the people stand up, the silent majority, for their health.
Get it out of your community, and then you can drink the water at home, you can drink the water in your office, you can drink the water in the restaurants and friends' houses, so you don't have to worry anymore.
All right, folks, so here we are. We're right back where we started in San Diego, right in front of City Hall. Let's recap the whole fluoride thing, shall we? Fluoride is not regulated by the FDA, the CDC, or the EPA. All these regulatory agencies seem to have washed their hands of it. China, Japan, Czech Republic, India, Israel. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Apparently here in the U.S., there seems to be no debate whatsoever. And according to the ADA, science is on the side of fluoride. Not only...
See, that was important. That was extremely important, brothers and sisters, because I'm going to stop it right there. Like he said, it's not regulated by any government agency whatsoever, the use of this fluoride. And like he talked about, it's backed by their science. Whatever he says goes. That's just what it boils down to. And remember, like in this video, it was talking about how much of the fluoride was coming from China. So they were talking about how China is the big bad wolf, but yet is purchasing fluoride from China, all right, to put in the citizens' drinking water. But remember, we told you that all of these so-called nations are in cahoots, but we know that they care little to nothing or next to nothing about nationhood. This transcends nations. Mind you, it's a one world order. So we know that these governmental agencies, these governmental bodies care nothing about the populace, right? Or the proletariat is, if you want to call it that. So they care nothing about that. But this is the point. My point is that you have to understand that if they're going to attack you, it's going to be with agents that are going to be put into things that you use every day. Every day. So this is the water. So one, let's recap and let's go over this to put these dots, not only just to put the dots out there, but to put them together. One, you recognize that your body is made up of water 70%, but you are only as much water as you drink. That water is needed in every metabolic process inside the body. Water is a phenomenal entity. We don't know what it is. We cannot explain it. Okay, that's one thing that you need to know. Just because they have the recipe does not mean that they understand it. And just because they named it does not mean that they know what it is. Secondly, water is many different things. We know water, the fourth state of water of matter is called plasma. So we know that if you were to go to donate and give your blood, you wouldn't be giving your blood, you would be giving your plasma. You wouldn't be giving your blood, you would be giving your plasma. And your plasma is over 95% water. It is a different type of water. Your cerebrospinal fluid is 98% water. It is a special type of water. Remind you, it's a mysterious entity. They can't explain it. It makes shapes and pyramids. Are you walking with me now? We're about to redefine what water is because we can't have you walking around with the illusion of intelligence. When you marginalize the things out of the greatest thing, because mind you, the best way for them to hide these things is in plain sight. The best way for them to hide these things is in plain sight. Okay? So, and then you also know that the water has to be pure, all right? So that it can go into your body and deliver nutrients, take nutrients, take waste materials out of the cell and all of that different stuff. And we know that when you don't have pure water, what happens, you put a lot of pressure on your kidneys, because the kidneys, one of its main responsibilities is cleaning the blood or the water that your heart is pumping. Okay, so we're going to go to, and we're going to show you. So now we show you the water. Now we have to think about what activates this water. What activates this water in the people that they call the crystallogens? Okay, you have to understand that it is the sugar. Now, this is about to get deep. This is where we're about to get deep, brothers and sisters. Now, walk with me. So now we got the foundation. We've laid the foundation. We about to get, look, y'all about to start having to put fire emojis in this chat, because it's about to get deep. It's about to get deep. All right. All right. So we're about to go to, I'm going to end up sharing my screen in a minute. Hold on. Hold on, brothers and sisters. All right. So I'm going to share my screen right quick, and we're finna get into an article right quick. Gonna get into an article. Blood types. What letters, positive and negative signs mean. What to know about your blood type. Your blood type is a combination of letters and signs, which is deep in and of itself, because I told you, even the world at the molecular level communicates through signs and symbols. Letters and signs identifying antigens present or absent on the surface of your red blood cells. Antigens are substances that can trigger the immune system to produce antibodies. Antibodies are proteins that lead an attack on substance perceived as foreign invaders. Now, also want to let ScrewTube know, we're not intending to cure, diagnose, or prevent any disease. You know, check with your physician, your healthcare provider, healthcare practitioners who are licensed for all of that different stuff. Only thing that we're doing is analyzing information to get a greater understanding of our environment and the instruments around us that are used, in my opinion, to wage war against us. But I digress. Let's continue on. We'll go down to the big part about this, the meat of it, right? We'll get into it. Obviously, blood typing is essential if you need to receive a blood transfusion. Your antibodies can attack transfused red blood cells of incompatible types. Mixing certain blood types can have dangerous health consequences. Some types of blood are more common than others, and they vary in compatibility. Now, and this is going to get deep. We're about to watch how we put all these different things together. The ABO system has 4 major blood types. We know A, B, A and B, and O. Blood types are further categorized by the presence of a positive or a negative, or absence negative, of the Rhd antigen on the surface of their red blood cells, and also known as the Rh factor. All right. Now, let's go down just for a second. We're going to get off into this. Now, this is deep. Now, if you AB negative, B negative, AB plus, this is all. AB is 0.6% of the population here in the United States. B negative is 1.5% of the population. AB plus, now we ain't got to remember all these things. I'm just going to make a crucial point. I'm about to make a crucial point from all of this. So stay with me. AB plus is 3.4% of the population. Now, this is what's deep. Most common, more than 70% of the people in the United States have one of these 2 common blood types, O positive and A positive. O positive is 37.4% of the population. A positive is 34.7% of the population. Okay. All right. So that puts it at around 70%. Okay. Now, what you guys have to understand, this is deep, because we're about to expose. So I'm going to have to jump down, then actually jump back up. This is crazy. Hold on one second. All right, because it's all right, it's supposed to tell you that well, in this article, somewhere in this article, pretty sure, I don't know why, am I overlooking it? Somewhere in this article is going to show you, but you can look this up for yourself too as well. It was supposed to, maybe I'm skipping over it, or maybe it's not, maybe it's in a previous article. It's going to let you know that A and B are sugars. A and B are sugars that come off the surface of your red blood cell. That's what A and B are. You're literally, most people's blood type, or you know, is basically them not having the presence of a certain type of sugar. Because remember, in the medical health field, they're called blood groups and not blood types. These are just the ones that cause the biggest immune reaction. So these are the ones that healthcare providers look for, doctors look for, are those ones that we just named, which is the A, the B, the A and the B, and the O. Those can cause severe immune reaction, but they know tons of blood groups, right? Tons of blood groups. Now, this is one thing that you have to understand, is that you have to really understand that this blood is activated, or it needs this sugar that we call glucose. All right? That we call glucose. Now, before we leave on, I know I'm going to pack something in here that's going to be kind of heavy, but put this as a sidebar, and I need you guys to commit this to memory. There is such a thing called golden blood. But should we be surprised? Should we be surprised there's a such thing called golden blood? Because didn't I tell you guys, earlier in some of those segments that I told you that these beans are down here for the plasma or the gold? Okay, y'all thought I was reaching. Some people thought I was reaching. They thought I was reaching. Okay? So what is golden blood? Golden blood is the rarest known type of blood in the world. It has no Rh antigens at all, known as Rh null blood. It is dubbed golden blood because it can be donated to people with almost any Rh blood type, including those with rare types of Rh antigens. That's all mayonnaise. We know why they call it golden blood. However, if people with golden blood need blood, they can only receive the same type of blood. Experts estimate that only about 50 people are known to have golden blood, which was first detected in Australian Aboriginal people. So now you recognize why they're going to Australia. We're going to have, oh man, these segments about to get deep. So you see, remember I told you before that plasma is also what the stars are made out of. That's what your sun is made out of. That's what the stars in the sky. That is the, what you see, the northern lights. Those are all, those auroras, that's the ionosphere. That's all plasma. Over 97% of the so-called universe is made of plasma. That's what you have to understand. So you have to also reason with this idea, or reconcile with the idea that this blood, specifically the sugar that's in this blood, is a big part of you understanding how you're connected to the stars, because it creates this plasma. It's just not sugar for all sugar tastes good. No, sugar, glucose, which comes from the plants, is the only sugar that the body can use, or the blood can use, as the instruments for fuel. That's the only fuel that it can use, is glucose. Okay? And that crystal, that sugar, amplifies the water and helps and aids and turns it into what we call plasma. What we call golden blood. Okay? This is deep. This is deep. Okay? So we're going to go far. We're going to go real deep on this, because I want you guys to understand just exactly how deep this water hole goes in terms of this fruit sugar. We're going to get even, it's not going to be too adult, but we're going to show you exactly what we're talking about in terms of how they speak mayonnaise to confuse you, all right? So now that we understand this water, we understand what's critical to water. One of the things that water loves to transform itself into is the life force, which is what we call blood, or what we call this plasma, because we know that's about 50 to 60% of our blood is plasma. Okay? That's what activates us. Okay? Then we know that some of our people are walking around here with this golden blood, so to speak, or real rare blood, right? All right? But we also know that in general they call it golden blood because they know that this golden liquid is called plasma that they take on a regular basis. And we also know from a previous video that I've shown that over 80% of those blood donations goes to private companies or the pharmaceutical companies, and only 20% goes to the hospitals. Next. So, and then also on the sidebar, we also note that this is what they've done with people like Henrietta Lacks. And when they found out the power of her blood, and they found out how, African Americans had this rare gene too inside of our blood, they realized that they would be on a hunt to find those who have exactly what it takes to take their life from the natural to the supernatural using the natural matrix. Okay, so let me go on, because I don't want to spend too much time on one idea, because we have to tie all of these things together. We're going to go to the alternativedaily.com. We're going to go to the alternativedaily.com right quick. Hold on, brothers and sisters, because I know I'm showing a lot of articles, but just stay with me, because it's going to be some powerful stuff. Going to be some powerful stuff. Hold on. Let me hold on 1 second, brothers and sisters. Okay, hold on 1 second. See if I got this. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the mayonnaise and why it's so toxic and why it's so powerful. Okay, because they'll be saying different things to different people about the same thing, and then when they're not doing that, they're definitely getting people confused, right? Because this is where we're gonna transform. We have to transform you with water so that you understood that you do not know what it is. That's one thing. If you knew what water is, you'll have the Nobel Prize by now. You would have the Nobel Prize. Nobody knows what water is. Nobody knows what water is. Okay, that's one thing that you got to understand. So you have to stop looking at one thing when you get next to water again. Now that you understand that nobody knows what this is, can go through the process of renaming this entity exactly what it is that you know exactly as the force that it is to reawaken you, right? Making sure that you take it in its pure form. Making sure that you take it in its pure form. Okay, now we know about, this sugar. This sugar is very key because now you got to start seeing sugar in a different light. Remember, with sugar is what the body uses, specifically called glucose, to run its daily functions, to maintain homeostasis. Without glucose, the blood cannot run. So what am I saying? I'm saying that so often through the conventional framework, we are taught to do what? We are taught to think that, I can quit sugar. Oh, it's a drug. I don't even eat sugar no more. You always have to eat sugar. That's the only way. That's how every organism on this planet survives. Is off of the sugar that comes from plants, called glucose. Think about how deep this is. Remember in the book I told you from the untold story of the carbon baby, which I've been telling you, and some of you guys have gotten that book. But in the untold story of the carbon baby, I told you what carbon is, and I've said this many times throughout many segments that I've put on this, not only this channel but previous channels. That carbon is Latin for coal. Coal is decomposed plant material. That's what that is. Now, and this is what's deep. Like we said, you have this plant energy. So not only is it running the matrix in terms of the oil and the natural gas, which we're finna get into, in terms of your body, only your blood can only use glucose to perform its functions. So when they sit up here and tell you can quit sugar, there's absolutely no way you can do that. That's why you're having such a hard time, because you're like, I gotta abstain from sugar. No, it's what sugar you have to abstain from. So basically what they've done through their science is that they know that there's simple sugars and what they call complex sugars. Simple sugars just mean that they can't be broken down any further, right? And the main sugar is glucose and the other one is fructose. Now, with vegetables and fruits, they contain both. And obviously fruits have a little bit more fructose. That's why it's called fructose. Than vegetables do, right? But when you put fructose and glucose together, you make sucrose. That's a natural sugar. But the Blanco went ahead through their, what they call a modern invention, right? Created table sugar. And they say it's just the same. So we're about to get into this article, and I'm going to show you just how twisted they are, right? And this is why it's so hard for a lot of our people to get right. This is why it's so hard for a lot of our people to get right. Because of articles just like this. But I'm going to show you exactly what they do. This is from the Alternative Daily, published Saturday, October 14th, 2023. Okay? It says, you may have heard that natural fruit sugar is far healthier than table sugar, sucrose. The answer to that is a bit more complicated than it seems. They go on to say, the sugar found in fruit and the sugar found in that bowl of shiny white grains on your table are molecularly and chemically the same. Both are comprised of fructose and glucose molecules. The ratios are slightly different, with fruit sugar weighing in at about 40 to 55% fructose, depending on the fruit, while sucrose is an even 50-50 distribution. The primary difference between fructose and glucose is how they are broken down by the body. Fructose digestion is the sole responsibility of the liver, meaning an insulin response is never activated. Glucose, however, is broken down into the stomach, prompting a quick insulin rush. Now, already, one thing that you got to understand, these are acting on your hormones, all right? Okay, check. We get that because, insulin is a hormone. But let's go on. Let's go to the most important part of this, right? And this is what he says, in contradicting himself, just a paragraph down. He says, yet if both fruit sugar and table sugar are so chemically similar, why do we praise one and scorn the other? The reason is because fruit is loaded with a slew of other nutrients. For example, phenols are compounds that provide potent antioxidant capabilities. So he just goes on and on talking about, oh yeah, but the fruit, it has all these nutrients and all this different stuff. But up here, just a couple paragraphs up, he was talking about how they were molecularly and chemically the same. No difference. No difference. People have been saying a different, no difference. Who do you think he's in the pocket of? The food companies, right? So we're going to go right to another article just to show you. Let's type this in right quick. Give me 1 second to pull this up. Give me 1 second to pull this up. One second to pull this up. Yeah, brothers, because there's been a lot of lies told. Like, I'm looking at this chat. Yeah, we got fire emojis in the chat. That's what's up. That's awesome. I'm glad y'all loving the information. Look, we just getting started because this shit is about to... Okay. So now I'm finna share my screen with you right quick. Show you this article. Diet scan, fruit sugar versus table sugar. They aren't the same. Don't eat too many fruits. Fruits are bad for you because they have tons of sugar. How many times have you heard this statement? I'm sure at least 100 times in your life. With many myths circulating the internet and being repeated in our daily lives, myths have become the new reality. I mean, repeat something long enough and it will be the truth, right? I beg to differ. One of the many myths that has been around for a while is that fruits are just as bad as sugar because they basically all they contain is sugar. This myth even went as far as making people ditch fruits altogether in fear of getting diabetes or gaining weight/fat. However, the problem is that those people are missing out on healthy, delicious foods that can even make you lose weight. So why the hassle? Is fruit sugar really the same as table sugar? Let's put this under the microscope and kill the myth once and for all. So you scroll down, you start to see the chemical form. It looks like they're holding hands. This is fructose and glucose. Looks like they're holding hands. And you're going to see, and I'm going to expose to you why that is the case. Okay? But we're going to go on with this article. Sugar or table sugar is the common name for sucrose, which is often derived from either beet or cane sugar. All right? And it talks about, them being two molecules, glucose and fructose. So we don't need to know that. We've already went over that. Right? And it goes on and says that, one major problem with sugar is the fact that it is processed. Manufacturing processing of raw foods causes degradation of the food's nutrients, which takes away from the overall content of vitamins, nutrients, and antioxidants, all essential for good health. Furthermore, cross-contamination during manufacturing processes could occur, resulting in adding unwanted foreign substances to the foods we will later consume. Such toxin could wreak havoc on humans' health. So given the fact that sugar is already nutrient-free and is processed through refining and bleaching, the sugar consumer gets a double whammy of problems and health hazards. So that's really all we got to read from that article. That's what I was going to show you. I'm just showing you that there's two different statements being made. One individual on the side of nature or natural science, one on the side of artificial science, right? Showing you, it's chemically and molecularly the same. And then he even admitted in his article, he said, sugar, the sugar from fruit does have a lot more nutrients and is more nutrient dense and etc. Okay, so that's that mayonnaise going on. This is why it makes it complicated, because from one source you'll go look up in the internet, somebody says, the table sugar, there's no difference. And then you'll have somebody else on the internet saying, hey man, there's a big difference. And that's why reading comprehension is essential. Because what do we say? It doesn't matter if you think you can read. If you do not understand what you have read, you cannot read. So now we understand something very, very powerful about this. So why did I build all that up? Why did I talk about the water, making sure that the water has to be pure? Why did I talk about you having a new understanding of sugar and what sugar is? I'll tell you exactly why. Because I'm finna prove my point. I'm finna show you. Now, y'all ready for the deeper stuff about, this segment? I'm finna show you that your hormones, especially for women, estrogen, and men specifically, is nothing but a sugar. And y'all, Listen what I'm saying to you. The hormones themselves are nothing but sugars. And watch how I prove this. Watch how I show you how you dissect the Blanco science, break it into a million people, shatter it to the point that it can no longer have an effect on black psyche anymore. To show you how ridiculous this stuff is, to show you how they thrive off of the fact that this is compartmentalized thought because they know it will prevent us from having a holistic world view. Watch how deep this is. Okay, we finna go. I'm finna show you first. I'm about to show you the molecular formula for testosterone and estrogen. I'm about to show you the molecular formula for testosterone and estrogen. So watch what I do here, brothers and sisters. Watch how deep this is. Watch how deep this is. Watch this. Watch how deep this is. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Now, I'm finna share the screen because I need you guys to see this. I need you guys to see this. I need you guys to see this. All right. This is from the National Library of Medicine. National Library of Medicine, PubChem, okay? National Library of Medicine, the National Center for Biotechnology Information, okay? This is, I'm about to show you, this is the molecular formula for testosterone. It is C19. You guys can go here too as well. I had to figure out how to blow that part up. But it is, hold on, let me go back up. All right, hold on. It's going too fast. Must be going past it. All right, molecular formula C19H28O2. C19H28O2. 19 carbon atoms, 28 hydrogen atoms, 2 oxygen atoms. This is testosterone. A carbohydrate. A carbohydrate is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Oh, you think I'm, wait if you think I'm still reaching. But I just want to give you the molecular formula. Understand this. And also know that when the Blanco was talking, remember, like I said, he says different things to different people about the same thing. He's changed this up so that way he can poison your sugar because he knows your sugar is a hormone. He knows your sugar is a hormone. This is one of the reasons why the indigenous people used to only plant certain crops, because they would plant crops or certain sugars or fruits that was aligned to their bloodline or their plasma line. Oh, this is about to get deep. Okay? So you understand that a carbohydrate is nothing but carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Also, if you take a look at the Blanco in his science when he tells you about the building blocks in terms of protein, he'll let you know what happens. When you get protein, your body breaks that down and rebuilds it into you. That's why they call proteins the building blocks of life. So this is one of the reasons why, as long as your body can get carbon, as long as your body can get hydrogen and oxygen, which it gets from sugar, it can always make hormones. It can always make hormones. So let's go to the molecular formula for estrogen. Now remember, we're finna write this down. We're finna write this down just to prove to you how cold this is. Just to prove to you how cold nature is. C19H28O2. That's testosterone. Now let's go look and see what estrogen is for females. Let's go look and see what estrogen is for females right quick. Hold on while I look this up. Okay, so this is from the same, this is estradiol, okay? And I'm finna just share my screen because it's right there and we don't even have to go to the actual site. They got it right here. So I'm finna share my screen. C18 C18 H24O2. This shit, look, walk with me now. So you talk, estradiol is the main form of estrogen because there's 3 types of estrogen, but estradiol is the main form of estrogen. It's actually what we turn, see men, okay, so let's look at your hormone system right quick. Let's just go over this just right quick. And so that we understand it. I'm pretty sure you guys understand this. You have your endocrine system, you have your hypothalamus, you have your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, you have your thyroid, your parathyroid, you have your adrenal glands, you have your pancreas, and then you have ovaries if you're a female and testes if you're a guy. You also have other organs that participate in secreting hormones that are not a part of your endocrine system. This would be your liver, your gastrointestinal tract. This will be your kidneys. This will also be what's considered your adipose tissue or your fat tissue. Now, this is what's deep. So let's go back. We're looking at the 2 different type of chemical hormones that we call, testosterone and estradiol or estrogen. If you notice, testosterone only has 1 more carbon atom than estrogen. It has 4 more hydrogen atoms than estrogen. And then they both have the same amount of oxygen atoms. Now, remind you, what did I prove? What did I say that? Because I'm putting myself out there on the limb. I'm telling you that testosterone is a sugar. That's what I'm telling you. Now, watch how slick the Blanco is. Watch when I tell you what I'm talking about. Watch how slick the Blanco is, right? Watch how slick the Blanco is in this. This, I'm telling you, this is what they do. Watch how I'm gonna tell you, watch how I'm gonna prove my point. Okay, hold on 1 second, brothers and sisters. Hold on 1 second. All right. Give me 1 second to pull this up. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen and I'm finna show you exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all thought I was reaching. Y'all, I don't reach. This is Sugar Sabotaging Your Hormones, reviewed by Dr. Sarika Arora, MD. So this is a medical doctor on hand, right? So we're just not talking out of our tail, right? Okay. Now, it says sugar and refined carbohydrates are best known for their effects on weight gain, but these foods are frequently at the root of your worst PMS, because she's talking to women, right? And menopause symptoms too, especially when it comes to fatigue, cravings, and mood swings. From my own experience in the women I see daily in my practice, this one step can make a tremendous difference. When I cut sugar, and when I refer to sugar, I mean all refined carbs, not just the white powdery stuff, my irritability vanished, okay? Because that's one thing that people got to understand. When we talk about quit sugar, you never can completely quit sugar. You can just quit the refined stuff. Why? Because the blood runs off glucose. You can never stop eating sugar. It's your life force, okay? Now look what she says, sugar's effect on hormones. Sugar not only provides major highs and lows in mood and energy, it can also disrupt one of the most powerful hormones in the body, insulin. And insulin is closely connected to all the other hormones in your body, including estrogen and testosterone. Why is it closely connected? Because estrogen and testosterone is made out of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. What you know is a carbohydrate or sugar. It's made out of the stuff. So of course it's going to affect the estrogen and the testosterone because it's made out of it. But check how they explain it to you. Now, first she goes and says, let's read this. Did you know women with PMS eat 275% more refined sugar than those without PMS? This can pump up estrogen levels, and that's not a good thing. Excess estrogen throws other hormones into imbalance, which only worsens symptoms. Now, peep this out. This is where the mayonnaise comes in. This is the most important part of this article that I'm about to read to you guys. She says, fat cells, especially those found in visceral midsection belly fat, produce estrogen. When you eat excess amounts of sugar, the body copes with it by turning it into fat cells, which then produce estrogen. The more sugar you eat, the more fat cells you create, and the more estrogen you produce. Now, why did they do that? They went around it. They said, oh, the sugar turns into fat, then the fat makes the hormones. And then literally they're telling you that sugar is created, that these hormones are created from the sugar. They're just trying to delay the process or trying to complicate the process by saying, oh, the sugar has to transform the fat, then the fat has to transform into hormones. This is one of the reasons, brothers and sisters, this is deep. This is one of the reasons, brothers and sisters, why you have people, have you ever noticed this? And you're going to peep this. Think about this. This how I'm going to prove them wrong in this one concept. Now walk with me on this. You have, if sugar was just turned into fat for storage, wouldn't fat people or people who overweight not have to eat for a long time? They got stored energy. You got stored energy. Why should a person weighing 300-400 pounds even have to eat? They got all that stored energy. Because that stored energy is not for food or not for energy. That stored energy is nothing but stored hormones. That's why fat people don't use their stored energy. They're not like no bear. A bear will eat, and the bear, since it eats natural sugars, it's actually storing energy reserves. If you notice, people get big as a house eating these processed foods, but yet they can't use the energy you stored in your body. I am killing you niggas. This is one of the reasons why you have to understand that you have to reassess. They gave something so that first they simplified it, oversimplified it by letting you call it sugar. But in their labs, in their chemistry classes, they call this simple sugar monosaccharides, polysaccharides, disaccharides. They got 12, 13, 14 letter names for these things, brothers and sisters. So it's more complicated than you think. You see what I'm saying? And you have to know from the molecular formula and from this MD, as she calls herself, and this is something that you learn in nutrition class, that you store this food for future energy reserves. But if that was the case, one, why is that not allowing people who are overweight to not eat for a long time because they have stored energy reserves? And why are they so sluggish and slow if they have all these energy reserves? Because that's not energy. That is hormones that your body is waiting to use to tell it what to do. Man, I'm finna show you. You think I'm about to hit you over the head. You think it stops there? Watch how deep this gets. Watch how deep this gets, brothers and sisters. Watch how deep this gets. Watch how deep this gets. You think I'm playing? You about to reassess, because remember, I want you to understand the three. Okay, let's go to the three simple sugars: glucose, fructose, and galactose. Those are simple sugars of monosaccharides. Remember, your blood can only use glucose. Let's go over this again, right? Now, glucose and fructose pair together to become something called sucrose. The Blanco makes an artificial concoction of this and calls it table sugar. But nature does something different, all right? Nature has it to where they hold hands and help each other out to create this plasma in your blood. Okay? Now, you also have to know that lactose is created when you get glucose and galactose. That becomes lactose, which is the milk that a woman feeds her child. Now understand this. This is how powerful sugar is. Lactose is, a woman's milk is primarily sugar, yet the baby survives off this stuff. The baby actually grows exponentially in those 2 to 5 years, especially their brain. If you do the research, and if I'm lying or flying, because I know I'm not flying, I'm still here. If you do the research, you will know that between 2 to 5 years of age, that's when the baby starts to secrete the most androgens or testosterone until it reaches puberty again. Boy and girl, they start to secrete testosterone. So this is why you know that a woman and a man can have testosterone, because we just showed you the chemical formula, how chemically similar they are. Do you know that men make about 20% of their estrogen or estradiol in their testes, and the rest we make from our fat cells? The rest we make from our fat cells in other places. So our adipose tissue makes a large part of our estrogen. Because once again, they know that this testosterone and this estrogen is made from sugar. This is why the number one metabolic illness on the planet is diabetes. This is why the number one illness on the planet is diabetes. This Blanco want to let you know anything. Hold on, let me look at this chat though too, because I want to interact with y'all. Yeah, that's what's up. Oh yeah, yeah. Is that why? Yeah, the sugar. Oh, of course, of course. That's why. You got a lot of, what I'm saying, people acting outside themselves because of the sugar, because of the sugar. You see what I'm saying? Because it doesn't. Remember what hormones do. Hormones send signals, chemical messengers. They control sexual reproduction, fertility. Remember, this is why the ancient people talked about how they were the food of the gods. You have to understand something critical about your food. It's made by the sun. It's made by the sun. This is literal star food. Your sun is a star. It is oh my goodness. This is star food, brothers and sisters. You see what I'm saying? So what they had to do, this is why you see sugar in practically everything. See, this is why it's so hard for people to quit sugar, because you're like, oh, all I got to do is have a little bit of it and I'll be fine. All I have to do, and so what happens is that you're born with a certain amount of enzymes. Trust me, I'm going slow. We're going to make it, like I said, we're going to recap. We're going to go over all of this stuff. So, and then, go linear and it's, and bringing the information about. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make sure that you get this before this segment is over. So one thing that you have is that you have, when you have these sugars, they have to be separated, okay, by an enzyme. Usually, more than likely, often more times than not, you have enzymes that end with ASE. That's how you know it's an enzyme. Lactase. Our body shuts that enzyme off after about 2 to 4 years of age, after black people pretty much stop, breastfeeding, black women. Okay. So that hormone deactivates itself. All right. And that's what makes us lactose intolerant. So when they say you're lactose intolerant, they're saying you're sugar intolerant. This is deep. They're saying you're intolerant to a sugar, which is a hormone. And if you notice, we always talk about how cow's milk have powerful hormones. The most powerful hormone is the sugar, or the type of sugar that's in the cow's milk. Just like the type of sugar that's in the mother's milk is designed for a human baby. And the sugar that's in the cow's milk is intended to have such a powerful effect that it can get that can get a calf that was just born to walk on both four legs, as it exits the mother's womb. That's how powerful lactose is for a cow. So you're born with a certain amount of enzymes, and you lose those. Once you run out of them, you have enzymes for fats, you have enzymes for proteins, you have enzymes for sugars. Once you lose those, you got to get them from your diet. And what better place to get them than from the fruits that contain their own enzymes? That's why if you leave a fruit out, what is it going to do? It's going to eat itself. And it's going to have help from other organisms like bacteria and fungus, but it's going to have the energy in it to degrade itself. It's solar energy. And remember what solar energy is, you guys. It's radiation. Remember how I told you that bananas were used in chemistry to measure radiation. Bananas has potassium 40 in it. When you take a nutrition class, they tell you that the banana is spoiling. When you take a chemistry class, they tell you that the banana is radioactively decaying. I can't make this shit up. This is why I said you have to reassess what you are. You have to strip yourself of the conventional framework that has been muddied through Blanco science, getting you to believe that this is something as simple as sugar or water. These are majestical energy systems. So one, we know that this sugar, called lactase, does what? It grows a baby, right? The baby just feeds off of this particular type of sugar. Okay? We know that we constantly feed off sugars and they turn themselves into our hormones, because we know from the chemical formula without a shadow of a doubt that testosterone and estrogen are nothing but sugars. They are made of the same thing sugars are made of, called carbohydrates, which is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. When you breathe in oxygen, it splits the hydrogen from the carbon, and that's why you breathe out carbon dioxide. This is one thing, like I said, this is why chemistry is so profound, brothers and sisters. This is why chemistry is so profound. We're not asking everybody to be no chemistry major, but what we are saying is that when we're fundamentally sound, they can't get this stuff over us. So we know when we look at the sugar, we realize exactly what it is. They're not going to tell us this shit. They're not going to tell us. Okay? So we have to do our, we have to have reading comprehension when we talk about these things. Let me show you something, man. In terms of, the sugar. we went over it. Well, first, let's recap. We're saying that, okay, now we talked about the water, and now we're talking about the sugar. We know that the blood types are different forms of sugar for the most part. They know that 70% of Americans have a certain type of blood type. This is one of the reasons why so many Americans have diabetes, because they're able to go in their labs and they're able to reconstruct these sugars, which can get different effects in people. Brain chemistry, all the different, it controls sexual reproduction or thwart it. Cause you to be infertile merely by the sugar you intake. And this is what's so deep, brothers and sisters. Remember, I just told you. Now, this is what's deep. Walk with me on this. Real deep. What happens is you have an enzyme in your mouth when you first eat the sugar. This poisonous sugar you get from this Blanco, the sugar beets and that refined cane sugar. So you eat this sugar, and remind you, when it's simple, it goes straight into the bloodstream. It doesn't require digestion from the small intestines, where a lot of the work is done. It goes straight into the bloodstream. So that amylase, I believe it is, that enzyme that breaks down that glucose and fructose in the food that you're eating in your mouth, it goes straight into the bloodstream. It then begins to go into your gums, because you have 4 parts of the teeth. You have the pulp, which is the nerve, okay? You have the dentin, which covers the pulp. Then you have the enamel, all right? And then you have the cementin on the bottom. All right, so what happens is when that sugar penetrates, it goes straight to the nerves. It goes straight to the veins, all right, in the face. This is why the face looks old. This is why the face begins to wrinkle, because this poisonous, toxic sugar goes straight through the bloodstream inside the face, which then turns what? The brain absorb it. It bypasses the blood-brain barrier. This is what's deep. Now, this is why you have to pay attention, because as we've said all that, we have to say this. When these sugars are produced, it's a very important oil, a holy oil that the body produces called sebum. I'm pretty sure you heard of this. The body produces something called sebum. Sebum, 60% of sebum are made up of what they call triglycerides. All right, the tri is the 3 fatty acids. The glycerin is like this sweetness. It's like a sugar. Okay? So, the vast majority of your sebaceous glands are on your face and on your scalp and on your chest and your back. This is why you have breakouts when you get this sugar. Okay? Because the sebum your body tries to make the sebum out of the sugar you give it. But the sugar, in the way that it's formed, only feeds fungus and bacteria, because dandruff is a fungus. But remind you, they just rename it something. When it's on top of your head, they call it dandruff. When it's on your feet, they call it athlete's foot. When your baby gets it, they call it something else. You see, they just rename the same organism. But this organism then feeds off of you, because the sebum, or the protective oil that you're making, is made from toxic and poisonous sugar that only fungus and bacteria can feed off of. Oh my goodness. This is just deep. This is just deep, all right? You see what I'm saying? I was just checking the chat. I'm checking the chat because I want to see what y'all thinking of this information. My 6-year-old watch is also scored in the top 10 percentile in the nation. Go ahead, then, Letitia Taylor. Yeah, tell him. Tell him we out here. We got our young ones, these indigo babies, kicking tail. All right? All right, so yeah, this is what's up with it, Riz? A supernatural channel on Riz. Riz, shouts out to Riz. You know, he always be repping the channel and stuff. So shouts out to him. I'll say she's going to be a major in biochemistry. Well, then go ahead, then, yeah, because we got to know. Like I said, I got to know, because there's been a lot of lies told around this dinner table tonight, but that you can believe. Okay. So we're not done yet. We're not done. We're just, I went off on a little tangent. I wanted to go because we're finna show you. Y'all think, like I said, it's so fun because people be thinking I be reaching. That's why I love to do this. Because mother's like, man, it's still, hey, well, that sound a little bit. Yeah, you showed me the molecular formula. You showed me that, obviously testosterone and estrogen or estradiol is made up of carbohydrates, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But I still really don't believe you. Is sugar really that potent? Is sugar really what you're talking about it is? All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. let's keep going. Let's make sure that this is the one. Okay. Now we about to get a little adult here. This is just an adult article. All right. So I'm just gonna prove a point to y'all. Don't really too much pay attention to the article like that. All right. I'm just here to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? Sovereign say a lot of lies. Yeah, they've been telling a lot of lies, right? All right, let's go to this article. Okay, women can squirt and ejaculate. Here's how to tell the difference. Thank you, science. Thank you, Calvin. You're welcome, Stephen. Okay, the human body never ceases to surprise us. This is why it's beautiful. In recent years, scientists have unearthed even more interesting facts. For instance, did you know that women can not only squirt but ejaculate too? Okay, let's keep it simple. We're here to learn something, right? We're here to learn something. Now, it is true what a lot of men were thinking. Well, just to give you on the sidebar, it said while it does contain ejaculation fluids, it's very minimal because squirting is essentially watered down urine, according to Dr. Rachel Winston, a sexual health practitioner. So all of the women out there saying that they do that, that's watered down urine. But what is female ejaculation? All right. It says, unlike squirting, female ejaculation, on the other hand, is much thicker and appears milky, almost resembling the male semen. The fluid is also expelled from the urethra during arousal or orgasm. Scientists studying the fluid have discovered prostatic acid phosphatase, PSA, an enzyme that is present in male semen. It apparently assists in the movement of cells, most likely sperm cells in this case. Furthermore, the female ejaculate apparently tastes slightly sweet since it contains fructose, a type of sugar. I am killing you niggas. Holy shit. Listen. Both the PSA and fructose are believed to come from the Skene's glands. These glands have different names too. Female prostate, periurethral glands, Garter's duct, and yes, the G-spot. Okay? So we ain't got it, but see, we're about to go somewhere else too with this, just to show you. I'm finna show you how impactful this stuff is, right? I'm finna show you how impactful this stuff is. Watch this. Watch this. I'm finna show you how important this stuff is, man. I'm finna show you how important this stuff is. Why they've been hiding this from you. Because they got to adulterate the sugar. That's why they put sugar in everything to control your hormones, which in turn controls your sexual reproduction, which in turn controls your sexual health, which in turn controls your metabolism, etc. This is why you see heavy-set people, they don't use the energy. They don't use that energy that they've stored. Those are all hormones that you see packed into them, ready to deliver messages that shut the body down. Okay, that's one thing that you have to understand. Now, hold on one second. We're going to pull up this yeah, some of these articles were just ridiculously, the titles were just crazy. But it's not. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to this article. We're going to go to this article where it's going to, and this guy who his title was just ridiculous. But it's by Jerry Kennard. He published it on September 4th, 2023. Medically reviewed by Jamin Brambart, MD. Okay, this Very Well Health. Okay, so I'm finna show my screen. Share my screen, rather. Okay, the seminal fluid itself is composed of fluids from 3 organs: The Cowper's gland, this pea-sized organ, secretes fluids that function as a lubricant and helps neutralize acids to keep sperm cells alive. Okay? Then you have the prostate gland. This walnut-sized gland secretes fluids that keep semen in a liquefied state while providing nutrients and enzymes that nourish and protect sperm cells. Then you have the seminal vesicles. These are a pair of tube-shaped glands that secrete fluids rich in fructose, a sugar used for fuel. Did you guys just hear what I said? Did you guys just hear what I said? You see what I'm saying? You see, these are a pair of tube-shaped glands that secrete fluids rich in fructose. Okay? And so this is what's so profound about these things, brothers and sisters, is that when you start to recognize all of the language that the Blanco was using in movies and television and stuff like that, and in news articles, and like, oh, aphrodisiacs, and he was talking about fruit. And, you hold up a strawberry, because remind you, the technical definition of a fruit is the female ovary of a plant. The technical definition of a fruit is the female ovary of a plant. Now think deeply about this. Why is it that for sexual health, your health in particular, the very most important food you eat is the sexual organs of a female plant? For health, for good health, they recommend a diet rich in female ovaries from female plants. Are you walking with me? Okay, so this sugar, this sucrose, nature's sucrose, this combination of fructose and glucose is the sugar or the nectar of the gods that your body uses to not only maintain health, but to reach optimal levels of health, to reach optimal levels of spirituality, therefore giving you, without a shadow of a doubt, the idea that the bridge from the natural to the supernatural is the natural matrix. Water and sugar being an extremely important part of that equation. Water and sugars being an extremely important part of that equation. So when we take a look at some of these things, let's first of all dispel some myths. Brothers and sisters. Let's first of all dispel some myths right quick with this article. And then, we're going to go off into talking a little bit about it. And I want to interact with y'all in the chat to see what you thought about some of this information. But, I got a couple more things I want to show. But I want you to also get an opportunity to see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of these mythical fruits and vegetables and stuff. Hold on. All right. So this one is 7 foods developed by Native Americans. All right. Now we ain't gonna get into piss contests about who these people were and whatever like that, because we know the Blanco ain't gonna tell the truth in that regard. But let's get into this article right quick just to show you what I'm talking about. 7 foods developed by Native Americans. These dietary staples were cultivated over thousands of years by indigenous peoples of America. All right. So let's go down. When Christopher Columbus reached the Americas, he hoped the land would be rich with gold, silver, and precious spices, but perhaps the New World's greatest treasure was its bounty of native food crops cultivated for millennia by indigenous Americans. Okay? They go on to say that a lot of domestication and breeding that resulted in today's major food crops, the important initial work was done by indigenous people, says Jules Janik, an emeritus professor of horticulture at Purdue University. That was their contribution to world agriculture. Okay, so you got maize. We know that's corn and all that different stuff, all right? All right, that was grown by the Mayas, the Aztec, and the Incas. Hold on. The heck? That was the maize that was grown by the indigenous. So you got to understand, this is where they make a lot of the high fructose corn syrup. You make that high fructose corn syrup from corn. Corn makes a lot of different sugars and stuff, okay? So I think that's also where dextrose, the artificial form of glucose, comes from that they feed you in the hospital. It's made from corn. This is why corn is a heavily subsidized crop. All right, this is why the corn had to be controlled in Mexico. You wonder why they had a problem? They can't let you control the very food staples that can turn you to gods. This is why the indigenous, we know a lot of our people live over there in Central America. They had to replace those natural food powerhouses, or that energy that transforms your plasma into godlike material. They had to take control of it and replace it with artificially and genetically modified foods. Okay? Okay? Because this is not a hard thing for us to do, to take it to the next level, brothers and sisters. All right, so we know potatoes, okay? Tomatoes. This one was real interesting. It said the flavor-packed tomatoes of the New World began as wild blueberry-sized fruits in South America that were first domesticated in Mexico about 7,000 years ago. All right? It says that the Europeans were slow to adopt the tomato, which is related to the poisonous mandrake, a fellow nightshade. It took centuries, for example, for the tomato to become a staple of Italian cuisine. It wasn't until the late 19th century that Italians began eating pasta with tomato sauce. But see, you, like we said again, you think the Blanco come up with everything. Now that we see they took these fruits or these ovaries or these sexual organs and sexual energy and made it a part of their staples, they become the face of these things. You see what I'm saying? Look at chili peppers. It said the oldest name for chili pepper, Capsicum anum, has been traced to Proto-Otomanguean, a language spoken 6,500 years ago in central eastern Mexico, believed to be the site of the first domestication of wild peppers. But it was the Aztecs who gave us our name for the spicy fruit. Peppers are fruit, calling it chili in Nahuatl. Columbus called them peppers because the spice reminded him of black pepper. Okay? So once again, like we said, even the food, being adulterated in terms of the names, because this is what they do, they change them. They got you thinking that, when you're eating grains, when we know that rice, when we know that quinoa, these are all seeds. This is what he does. He got you thinking fruits are vegetables, vegetables are fruits and shit. He got you all upside down. You don't know where to go. Dealing with this Blanco, him renaming stuff. Of course, you got cocoa. So we went on that. We did a video on cocoa and stuff. So we don't have to go extensively into that. But we will. I will mention that in another video because it's going to be some timely information in that regard. That will help to accentuate some points that I'll make in that video. So I'm saving cocoa for another time. But one thing that we got to realize what we take from this video, we got to understand obviously the power of water. Whatever that you can do, always making sure that you consume the most powerful and pure water that is available to you. They don't know what it is, brothers and sisters. And since you're 70% of this entity, of this energy, you have to realize that 70% of you is not known. You can determine what you are. You can redefine yourself. But you have to redefine the energy around you first. The sugar. We know that the sugar is what? We know that the sugar is actually the hormones now. Not that they turn to fat, then turn to hormones. We see how it's an integral part in our reproductive functions and our reproductive abilities. You see what I'm saying? We see now that this sugar is responsible for the motility of the sperm. How just a difference in a couple atoms or so is the difference between testosterone and estrogen. This is how critical sugar is. How when you take it in first, as you chew it, it goes straight into your bloodstream and your teeth. That's why a lot of people have bleeding gums. They brush their teeth, blood all over the place. The body tries to just do away with that toxic blood. Because that sugar then enters the teeth, and you see how Americans, they spend millions upon billions of dollars in oral health. Dentists and all of that different shit. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you that this sugar just don't sit on your teeth and you brush it away and you know what I'm saying, gargle some damn mouthwash and it's a wrap. No, it done entered your bloodstream. It's entered your bloodstream. So it rots the tooth from the inside out. How many times have you heard somebody, or maybe you've experienced yourself, you've just been eating, the tooth just crack? No strength or integrity to it anymore. From the inside out. Because he has you perplexed as to how to even consume this energy, what the energy is. And remind you, it's not, we have to change this idea of, oh, I can quit sugar. No, you can't. The body runs off of this fuel. The body runs off this fuel. And understand this too. Understand this too. We are called, and I've told people this before. I've mentioned this a million times. I've talked about this in my book. You know what I'm saying? And I want you guys to understand this. We are called, not by me, by their science. The carbon-14 group, the group that me and you are from, are called the crystallogens. We're called the crystallogens. Carbon, silica, germanium, tin, lead, that carbon-14 group. We're called the crystallogens. So why do you think that they would not go so far as to put these crystals, modify the salt and the sugar, these crystals, when we take them in? Preventing our body from making the right messengers or chemical hormones to create and maintain balance. So that in turn becomes the foundation that is laid so that we have an opportunity to reach the highest level of enlightenment once and only once we understand that the bridge from the natural to the supernatural is the natural matrix. That is what you need to know. Yeah, we say, Red saying it's time, perpetual fountain. I'm telling you, Letitia Taylor says science and literal, relatable terms. That's all. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Sister Soul Main Radio says last 5 minutes I heard was fire. Oh, of course. Appreciate that. Sovereign says we missed you. I missed you too. I'm telling you, I missed the FOF squad. Right? Yeah, so these sugars, man, these sugars is extremely important. So you say, okay, well, blood type and all that, so how does that affect me? What should I do? Okay, and this is not medical advice, Screw Tube. We're not trying to cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease. We're just having a conversation. You see, and so my thing is like one thing that I had to tap into. I realized that I had to think about what fruits did I like. I'm not really a big fan of pineapple. I can live without bananas and stuff, especially we know that bananas are nothing but clones, right? They don't have any seeds. All fruits bear seeds. You're supposed to have seeds even in your bananas, okay? But, so I don't really do the bananas. I found out that I love plums and pears. I love those. You see what I'm saying? And it gives me a sense that I'm full too when I eat enough of them, especially when I drink my pure water, because now that water is able to interact in pyramid form, okay, with the crystals. And the water carries this heat, because remember, your body got to be at a certain temperature to make these chemical reactions, or for them to take place. So this is important. So when we have the right crystals, that lock and key system is operating on full, on nuclear power, we're unstoppable. See, this is why I tell you all the time, is like, when we make ourselves, one with Mother Earth and the energy that's surrounding us, it's easy to go to the next level. Even if you're just light years beyond what you were before, you were lethargic, you didn't have energy, you really couldn't sleep. You see what I'm saying? Your brain, your thoughts couldn't be collected. You couldn't remember things. Dementia seems to be, for a lot of people, they get scared of that, right? You're walking around looking for your keys in your hand. You're just not aware half the damn time. Your brain feels foggy. All these things are related. Not to mention, like we talked about, the behavioral expressions from a lot of people. You're like, man, these people are changing. But we look at sugar and we just say, that's just, And what's coming up? Devil's Night. Do you think it's just by chance that the night they give away this poison, they call it Devil's Night? Do you think it's by chance that the night they give away all this poison, they call it Devil's Night? Let's see. See what we got here. Yeah, Sister Soul Main Radio said I had some bananas from Mexico. First seeds I've seen since a child, right? They not going to give you the seeds because the seeds represent life. The seeds represent life. Remember I told you like brown rice. Rice is not a grain. It's a seed. You can plant brown rice in the ground and a plant will come out of that. You see the seeds in strawberries. All fruits are supposed, but notice, since they can't take the seeds out of strawberries, if you look it up, strawberries are some of the most contaminated fruits on the face of the earth. See, if you are, look, while we wasn't looking, they took them out of grapes. And then they're still selling grapes like organic. You must know that anything considered organic, brothers and sisters, is still a highly processed food. How do we know this? Because we know natural food has to be canned or frozen. Other than that, it's radioactively decaying, or in nutritionist terms, it's spoiling. Okay? So they know for a fact that anything that sits on the shelf, that can sit on the shelf for longer than a week, a month, that food is deadly. And they can slap an organic label. I don't care what they made it with. It doesn't have a life force in it. You see what I'm saying? So we have to dismantle this. We have to first recognize it can be hard to get off the crack, because they say, oh yeah, sugar is worse than crack. It's even worse than that, because people can live without crack. You can't live without sugar. Every organism on this planet survives off of glucose. Plant blood is what's running through your veins. What the plant does is take water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight and makes this powerful chemical called sugar. Ain't life sweet? Ain't life sweet? And you have to take that sugar in so that you can maintain balance, and also make sure that you continue to open yourself up for the opportunity to reach the highest level of enlightenment. That's what's so deep about this, brothers and sisters. When you now recognize, like, man, every time I go to the grocery store, every time I put something in my mouth, you now know why that you may have dental work that needs to be done, or you can't stop certain things from happening, or your face dries up and you start to see dandruff build up, or, scaly skin, is because that bad sugar, that toxic sugar, goes straight into your bloodstream, start to interrupt your neural network. Obviously it starts to, disrupt the balance of the skin, because it interrupts the formation of what we know as what's called sebum. The sebum can't be made properly. So instead of sebum being made properly and being at the right pH where it can fight off bacteria and fungus, look up. Sebum is your first line of defense, brothers and sisters. This is why lice can't really exist on our head unless our sebum is messed up. When we secrete that oil, and black people know like our skin is oily, but we never knew what type of oil it was. And some of us have heard of sebum. And do you know what's so deep about sebum? Sebum are made from what's called sebocytes. These sebocytes, you know what they literally do? After a week of building up, they literally commit suicide just to provide you with the oil that coats you to protect you. Some entity, some energy in you are all about sacrifice to ensure that you stay alive long enough to reach the highest level of enlightenment. That was their job and their only job. Think about how deep that is. This is just deep stuff, brothers and sisters. That's why I said we have to. This is why, we have to put a considerable amount of effort into understanding the things around us. A new fundamental approach, one in which we don't look at water the same, under this illusion of intelligence like we know what it is. Just because, remind you, we told you, just because you can name something does not mean that you know what it is. Obviously, that's the furthest thing from the truth. It's the exact opposite. It just gives you this idea, yeah, I know what it is. You know nothing about it. Because if you knew something about it, you'll be one of the brightest minds on planet Earth, and they'll be offering you not only, Nobel prizes, but your ass to be somewhere in a government agency either working for them or against them. Okay? That's it. And the sugar they recognized they had to manipulate. You see what I'm saying? In order to get you thinking like, oh, well, okay, my hormone levels are off. So as you get older, you recognize that you keep taking in this sugar, and your body keeps putting on this fat, which they tell you makes your hormones. And then by the time you're 40 or 50 years old, they're like, oh, you're going through menopause, or you're going through male menopause. Your body's breaking down. Of course it's breaking down. Of course it's breaking down. So let's look at some of the, and Rez brought up Canada. Yeah, that yeast, definitely feeds on, You know, a lot of people have candidiasis, you know, that yeast or fungal overgrowth, you know, and it becomes toxic, especially when it starts to, you know, get through your system, because see, you know that some of it is natural and necessary, right? This is what they call your biodome or your gut, right? Now, and that's why I say this is what important, because we walk around and we act like it's our cells. You got to remember, like we said, everything feeds off glucose. So they'll tell you, you share your gut, you share your body with other organisms. You got billions of organisms that live on your skin. You got different type of bacteria and fungus and viruses that live in your gut that helps you digest food. There's good bacteria and bad bacteria, as he claims. Right? So you got to understand this. When you're taking care of your body, you have to understand you're running a kingdom or a queendom. That you have to keep these entities in check, because you're either feeding yourself or you're feeding them. Once again, you're either feeding yourself or you're feeding them. So when the doctor says, oh, well, okay, you may have cancer or this, that, and the other, or you have an overgrowth somewhere, we have to realize that where did that overgrowth come from? Because we know we're not feeding the body. We're not feeding the body. We're feeding other organisms. So when we take a look at what it requires or what it takes and say, okay, well, yeah, do I have the power? Do I have the the willpower to deny myself those toxic things, those poisonous things? Just think about what it is from here on out, brothers and sisters, and know that now you know. Know that if you're feeling upset, your body gonna start to fine tune itself now. Start to figure out what fruits align to your blood plasma or your star line. Because remember, your bloodline is a sugar line, which in turn is a plasma line, which in turn is a star line, or you are a star seed. So remember, this food is being grown by a star you call the sun. It's a star food. It is the nectar of the gods. And they knew this, so this is one of the reasons why they had to put a concerted effort for to adulterate the foods, and then also simultaneously put out information that made you think that it was just something simple. It's just sugar. But in his labs, he called it monosaccharide, disaccharide, polysaccharide. And there's also a study called carbohydrate chemistry, which is a subdiscipline of chemistry, where he knows that these sugars or these crystals bond together. And how do we know this? Because carbon only bonds in a formation called diamond cubic. It only bonds in crystal formation. That's the only way carbon bonds. That's the only way carbon bonds. So when we tell you the carbon people, you're made of these crystals, you're called the crystallologists for a reason, brothers and sisters. All this reaching out, trying to get other instruments and stuff. No, the Most High gave you exactly what you need. Remember, the change comes from the inside out. We've discussed a little bit of this in the previous video. This is how you do the inner work in order for you to resonate and open yourself up, because we know we see people, they talk about all this stuff. Oh, you got to quiet your mind, you got to meditate. How can you meditate, quiet your mind, and do all these things when your body is running on fraudulent energy? You got a vehicle. If the vehicle says put unleaded in there and you put premium, or you put, super unleaded or whatever, you put diesel in there, is the car going to run right? It only takes one type of fuel. Can the heart run right? Can the blood run right if it only uses glucose? And you throwing dextrose and maltose and all other type of sugars. That motherfucking got about 20 different type of sugars he throwing in your food. And you're creating your hormones off that food. So then you're like, man, I wonder why my body's all out of whack. I wonder why I'm not repairing myself as fast as I used to. Because it's not getting those signals. And those signals are coming from what produces those signals, which are usually the endocrine gland, and like we said, other organs that are not a part of the endocrine system, like the liver, like the kidneys, like the gastrointestinal tract, like adipose tissue. These all participate in creating hormones. Remember, we told you that vitamin D is not a hormone, is not a vitamin. It is a hormone. It's produced by the kidneys. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's a hormone. But if the Blanco told you he was putting hormone D in your orange juice, if the Blanco told you he's putting hormone D in your milk, you probably wouldn't drink it, would you? So think about this. He calls hormones sugars. He calls hormones vitamins. He don't care as long as you're confused, because he's the author of confusion. Man. This is that's why I say, man, this is just, it all boils down to us recognizing that we have to just take these bigger steps in terms of watching what it is that we put in our mouth, especially knowing that when those things break down, usually a lot of these sugars and stuff don't get the opportunity to make it to the small intestine to be separated, and then for the most part, a lot of people don't even have the enzymes anymore to break those sugars down. When you start having a hard time eating the things that you used to eat, that is a telltale sign that you may not have the enzymes necessary or the electrical force to break those things apart. And you'll send hormones, but they won't be able to do their job because they don't possess the energy to do it. Remind you, the blood has to, remember, the endocrine glands secrete their hormones in the blood. But if the blood doesn't work right because it has no energy, how can the hormones get to the cells? That's one thing that you got to understand. Then these black be like, well, it's insulin resistance. It's we don't know what it is, or we don't have no idea. I think it's high cholesterol. I believe it may be that you may have too many HDLs or LDLs, low density lipoprotein. Shut your mayonnaise speaking ass up. You're lying your ass off. That's what you're doing. You're lying your ass off. So when we get our water and sugar right, we're that close to getting our plasma right. You know what? You go into the hospital and everything low, they'll shoot you up with a fluid. Like I said, they'll put dextrose in it when your blood sugar's low. They'll pump you up with the very thing that I'm telling you to watch for as you go into these grocery stores from here on out. To watch for when you fix your meals and stuff like that. Trying to do the best that you possibly can in terms of shifting from the artificial matrix to the natural matrix, where the vast majority of the foods you consume have that electrical energy, or star food. Because our object is to eat to live, not to live to eat. We got other shit we trying to do. And I know that's hard, because trust me, like we said, FOS Squad, we walking this walk together. Everybody's going to make mistakes. You're going to have times when you trip up, but now you know. If you want to sit back and say, you know what, I just want to revamp my entire life, you know exactly what to do. And remember, it's not about, I got to quit sugar. You can never quit sugar, so get that out your head. It's not about quitting sugar. It's about what type of sugar you're consuming. It's not about trying to drink all other types of water. It's what type of water that you're consuming. Or, excuse me, it's not about drinking a lot of water. It's what type of water you drink. Because, I drink water, I get bottled water, I get this, that. No, stop it. You test those waters, man, they're not even drinkable. They're not even drinkable. So he knew if he took the water out, you wouldn't be able to make proper blood. He knew if he contaminated the sugar or adulterated it or genetically modified it, you wouldn't be able to make the right hormones, and the hormones you were making were sending the wrong signals. So when you feel your mind like, man, I feel young, and that's what you want to send your signals out to your body, like, I feel young, send those signals out. The body like, well, you didn't make them type of signals. I'll show you what you made. Let me show you what you made. Let me show you what materials you gave me. You employ somebody to build a house, they come with some plastic and paper, and then you get mad at what you're looking at is because the materials are off. This stuff is majestic energy, brothers and sisters. It is majestic energy. That's what it is. So, I'm going to take a look at this chat. Yeah, I definitely appreciate y'all showing up and showing out too. Because it's going to, like we said, we definitely going, man, I'm telling y'all, this right here is going to be a phenomenal journey for us all, because we're going to start to, pull the wool from our eyes, man, walking around thinking that this matrix is the end all be all, and it's not. And this is why it's so dangerous, because they've been lying to us about everything. Like Cat Williams say, everything. They've been lying to us about everything. So how hard is it to make these transformations? How hard is it to do these things when everywhere you turn, you're getting disinformation? Everywhere you turn, you're being manipulated. Everywhere you turn, you're being deceived. And so, like we said before, ultimately what most people do is just throw their hands in there and say, it's too complicated, I can't do it. You got to die someday. When we know that the best thing that we can do, or the greatest gift that we can be given, is being able to take advantage of all the things Mother Earth offers in this realm. It's the most beautiful existence ever. And that's what we have to, don't let nobody snatch your gift from you. Okay? Do not let anybody snatch your gift from you. So I hope you guys were able to, do something with this information. Understand, Crystallogian family. Beware of the crystals that you take in. Stop concentrating so much or so on the crystals that you wear around your neck and put on your wrist, and start thinking more critically about the crystals you put in your mouth for energy. Start thinking more critical about the crystals you put in your mouth for energy, Crystallogians. That's what you need to do. This is sound science, and they've been using it against us. This is sound science, and they've been using it against us. You take care of your water, you go 70% of taking care of your plasma, you take care of your sugars, then you take care of the rest of that electrical activity. When you put that adulterated sugar, it reacts instantly, and it creates hormones. So it's just not as much. When you say somebody got in a bad mood, that literally could be from sugar. Literally. We know it is. So we know that certain foods will create certain hormones. Certain hormones are also dependent on your mood. It may cause you to feel depressed. You may think like, man, I just feel sad and all of a sudden. This is how deep this goes. So we have to understand, brothers and sisters, this is critical for, in terms of making these changes, recognizing that. Like this is absolutely critical. Recognizing that these are hormones that are made from these sugars. The water is toxic, okay? Do our best to get these filters. Like, look, man, either pay now or pay later. You don't want to be in the Blancos hospitals asking for help. You know what he or she's going to do to you once you're in that position. So you don't want to be in a position where these people don't have your best interests at heart when it comes down to it. We know there's certain things that may just happen, all right? So we get that. But the point is that come to a greater understanding of the fundamentals so that you have a sound fundamental approach as you go out there and are confronted with these challenges from the artificial matrix. You have a sound fundamental approach. You cannot be easily misled or misguided, right? Because now. So now you can make decisions, right? So like, even if you're messing up a little, you like, you know what, that damn sugar is getting me, but I'm gonna conquer it because I know it's not the right sugar. I know it's not the right sugar, and I know that's the old me. I know that's them parasites. I know that's that fungi. I know that's that bacteria feeding off of this, sending out signals and hormones of their own to tell me what to eat. And many times you'll eat something, you're like, man, I never even really had a taste for that. It didn't taste good going down. But when you thought of it, because you are not the one sending the signals. Just like a pregnant woman, when she gets ideas about what she wants to eat, sometimes she eating stuff so weird she don't know where it's coming from. So we have to be, tapped into our body to that degree too as well. And not allow the Blanco to have us eating things that will, degrade the body, that will degrade the mind, and that will ultimately take away our opportunity to reach the highest level of enlightenment. So I hope you enjoyed yourself, brothers and sisters. We got a lot more powerful information coming along, but I said all that to say this. Who is God? God is the judge. And why is she the judge? Because she decides who wins and loses, not my opponent. Who is my opponent? He doesn't exist. He is merely a dissenting voice to the truth I speak. FOF Squad. Speak the truth.
DJ, work your ass up, work your ass up. I'm the hottest artist on the planet, team up. Heinous here. Because I'm gonna let you know, if you're in the water, you're gonna die. Illuminati dies here today, Mom.
It's a shark in the zoo. They say in Babylon, put the mark on them too. His whole body light so we can maul other guys. If my all-seeing eye going dark on me too. And them coffers for you. I'm ready so the devil who I call out first. I heard God call it, said behind the great wall. He I made a sword off to kick them all off earth. Hey, so my click don't play. Heaven gotta choose the wolf or the lamb. Get shot down by a pig in the street. Why do niggas gotta beef when it's a whole lot of hell? Alright, it's a hole in the dam. They can't flood Merc, so they shoot down gangs. Merc fly high, baby, Merc won't die. I don't see nobody here that can shoot down planes. It's like I shoot down veins. You're turning everybody in the hood to an addict. You live in 6th grade to a bully with a habit. Cause I'm a switchblade or a fully automatic. Let's go. It's only 2 ways out. Don't ever try to sit or think of running cause you can't. It's only screaming die while you running out of tank. I'm screaming try bitch while you running out the bank. Cause my clip don't pay. I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. My hoe act right like she came with an Emmy. She want black pipe cause she came with the Remy. Ain't no the pain even in me. You probably wouldn't know where I blow back, cause it's 5 knockouts when it's 5 cops out. I was 5 shots out from the big bad wolf. Bet a bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave, but I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Bet